This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website, portfolio, and online store. For a free trial and 10% off, visit squarespace.com and enter the offer code THUMBS at checkout.
I will.
Good, Jake.
Hey, I'm on a podcast. Now I'm probably talking at the voice that I would normally talk on a podcast. Hey.
Something's wrong with the mic. Nick Breckon's voice is audible.
Let's fucking blast this cast!
It is October 22nd, 2014.
And I'm Nick Breckon.
Oh my god.
No.
This is Idle Thumbs 181. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Danielle Riendeau.
I'm Sean Vanaman.
I'm Jake Rodkin. Come on, Nick.
And I'm Nick Breckon.
Okay, there he is.
Welcome
Look
back,
what we had to go
Nick.
buy because of you. That's
I'm
a fifth
sorry.
microphone I'm
You had to
pointing
buy me.
The Fiverr.
to buy Jake.
The week delayed Fiverr.
We should thank the Kickstarter backers from
Thanks, backers.
2012.
Thank you all.
Probably still that money.
Thank you all. It's a very exciting night. I'm glad to be
Have
here.
we done
in
a
one piece.
Fiverr ever?
Not with this crew, no. When
No.
Anita was here, we did 5.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
right.
true. That's true.
Yeah, but she had to bring her own microphone.
That's
There was
true.
a double lady Fiverr.
Yeah.
That's cool.
An advanced maneuver.
Yes. It's like the Picard maneuver or the Riker maneuver.
Oh,
you
I
know?
was thinking like Christina Yamaguchi or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking like a cheerleading move.
Or like a diver,
yeah.
like Greg Louganis. Just whatever.
Very advanced
Like
technique.
Carmack's
The good
reverse.
thing about Nick being gone for so long and being here now is think of all the video games he's played that he can talk about on the podcast.
Wait, so I heard, Nick, I heard this from your mouth like 2 days ago.
So a dubious
have
source.
here
The
a
mouths
signed
of
document.
babes.
Yeah. In other words, I heard
Stating that you have
I heard
played
it from
a
an
game.
incredibly disreputable source, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I heard you deleted Dota.
Oh, shit. It's true. I did
I have some
delete
theories
Dota.
about that.
Do you?
Wait,
Well,
did you
I
already-
mean-
Hold on. Let's hear the primary source before we hear the theories. Or are you just...
No, I want to hear the
I know
theory first.
nothing.
I want the
I know
theory to be.
nothing. I mean-
I want the theory to be unsullied by the truth.
Okay.
Well, look. Let's first gather what we know about Nick Breckon's life.
I'm just going to sit back here.
This is just a Sherlock Holmes.
The evidence
Beyond-
together.
Beyond his various compulsions and impulses, he says, smacking his mouth, leaning back in his chair, being judged from head to toe. We know 2 things about Nick Breckon's life in the past, let's say a quarter of a year, half a year.
Okay.
1, he entered and proceeded to lose inside of a recreational video game tournament of Defense of the Ancients. And 2,
I have an objection.
I don't think you're going to...
And
I was...
two.
Already.
and
Okay,
2,
is this court
and 2,
proceedings?
I was removed from the team forcefully.
What?
Oh my god.
not the Nick Breckon I know.
So to be clear, I was not part of the officially losing team. I was absent.
I like that, like, oh no, I can't be a loser because they got rid of me.
That's what I'm saying. Anyway, continue.
2,
Okay, I'm going to need to hear elaboration on that, by the way.
you
Anyway,
moved in with your
continue.
girlfriend.
That's true.
Not to get into too many personal details on the podcast.
Yes.
Nevertheless, you were cohabitating, and I suspect that might be the root of some of the problems here. Besides, issue
would be
3,
wrong,
issue 3, you have an uncontainable
fact,
fury
heretofore-
of anger.
To wit, she actually wants to play Dota.
Oh.
I'm the one shutting
All
it down.
the pieces.
The plot
I'm the one
thickens.
shutting it down.
Wait,
She wants to learn.
I will enter into evidence Exhibit B. Nick Breckon's obsessive drive to ensure that he emerges victorious from Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blaster and not his girlfriend.
Right.
I think we can draw a line.
Oh, I think all of these things. Yeah, that was a beautiful mind piece there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nick
I can't
Breckon
object to that. That's just my psychology.
Nick Breckon,
who I
as
am.
opposed to saying, "Hey guys, I think I'd rather not," concocted his own eviction from his Dota 2 team.
So now that
Which raised the eyebrow of his loving girlfriend, who thought, I should get into this game so I can play something with my boyfriend, which then caused him to panic, deleting Dota 2 and telling the girl that the game does not exist.
this is the third Wayne's World ending, and that was the correct one. That was just like revealing the Scooby-Doo actual, like, that is 100% true. I went to Hawaii, so therefore I could not compete in the game.
Oh my god.
Came back from Hawaii, she wanted to play Dota, and I was like, delete.
It's real.
What's funny is
Danielle is scandalized.
What's great, what's amazing. This is the most Danielle, this is the thing that you must realize about Nick Breckon. That entire story is solved, never happens, if Nick just clearly states what he wants out of life. Hey guys, I'm going on I'm traveling, so I shouldn't play in this tournament. Janelle, I don't really think we should get into Dota. Let's do something else. Those two sentences, nothing has to change.
Uttered.
Nothing in his life needs to ripple. Anyway, good to have you back, Nick.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
It's good to be back.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Save any lives?
That's weird. No, I haven't. I heard someone else did.
I don't know.
This is a
someone in the
podcast
room.
full of rumor and hearsay.
Yeah.
This is like our Fleetwood
Secondhand
Mac album,
accounts.
Rumor.
Well, the thing about that, though, is, okay, this is a podcast full of rumor and hearsay. However, Nick's played out like a combination of a parlor room scene and a courtroom drama, whereas Danielle's is going to be like the heroic, slow-mo, like, end of first or third act of some hospital drama, for sure.
Yeah.
This is
ER versus Law and Order.
ER in the 22.
All right, go ahead.
Shall we call it that?
We
Okay, so around 6:30 or so this evening, I just feel like I hear the little Law and Order little sound effect.
I know, it already
right there,
sounds like you're delivering...
Dun, dun, dun.
It always sounds like you're delivering a legal theory. At 6:30 this evening.
6:32 p.m.
Imagine it, juror.
You gotta paint the picture. You have to stand in the sweet spot in every courtroom. Every courtroom, by the way, has a sweet spot where the best lawyers know to, like, give their best oratory. Yeah, I learned that in the ACLU. There's, like, every courtroom. Anyway.
Much like that seat in
Much
that couch.
like this seat in this podcast.
It's true. We do form a semicircle, and you are directly in the center.
True.
Yeah.
You're at the 12 o'clock position
really-
in the half circle of this ensemble.
I planned it that way,
Yeah.
you know.
You've
It was
slowly
all
become
my
the center of the
mastermind.
podcast.
All right, so you were on the bus on your way to record
Yes.
this very podcast.
I got into the door, and there was a woman who was slumped over in a seat. She was like an elderly woman. She had a little dog on her lap. And people started freaking out. She had apparently just fainted, like, right as I was getting on the bus. I didn't see her faint, but she had just fainted. Another woman was talking to her, and she was, like, freaking out. She's like, oh, my God, she was just here. I think she had a seizure. I don't know what just happened. And I was like, okay. The driver calls 911, and I sort of went over to this woman. I didn't touch her because I don't have gloves on. I should probably preface this. I used to be an EMT when I lived in Massachusetts.
Of course you did.
I was an emergency medical technician basic class for a couple of years during grad school. So I kind of knew somewhat what to do. And I've been in this situation before. There was someone who had a medical emergency on a plane once that I had to sort of go in and deal with because there was no doctor or nurse on the plane. I just sort of like tried to ask her if she was okay. And she was completely unresponsive, totally unconscious. So while we were sort of waiting for the ambulance to come over, I was asking this other woman, like, what happened? And she was like, we were just talking and she just slumped over and like, she's now not responding. The woman woke up and was sort of kind of like a little woozy, sort of like keeling from side to side, but she was responding at this point. And I kind of told her, like, okay, we called a doctor. Like, the ambulance is on the way. Like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And she was really woozy, really out of it. And then she started, I won't get graphic, but she started seeming as if she needed to vomit. So I gave her a plastic bag that I happened to have on me so she could throw up. She didn't actually throw up. She just felt sick, I think. And then she sort of passed out again. At this point, the ambulance came. It actually came like really, really fast. And they just were able to take her out, and she was probably going to be okay. They came back and asked us more questions like, what happened? What's going on with her? Did she have the seizure? Did her eyes roll back in her head? Was anything else going on? We're just sort of like, no, she apparently just fainted. I think it might be a blood sugar thing. It might be a heart thing. Not sure. But, they told us that she seems like she's going to be okay. We're going to take her to the hospital. We're going to make sure she's okay. And then it took me an hour to get here. So
Here's the thing. Do you know that 3 minutes before this occurred is when they released the news that Nick Breckon had been ejected from his Dota 2 team?
She's probably
It all
checking her
makes
Twitter
sense.
feed.
Yeah. She was reading Google News at the moment. I heard from an eyewitness
she
source.
just had the vapors and just fell over in her seat.
Another thing that could have been prevented by Nick Breckon.
She was screaming at her phone into her fantasy Dota bookie, trying to place
Trying to save her rares.
Exactly.
Rares. My rares, she said, was her last word.
That was the last word, and then she's out. She's gone, down for the count. Oh,
You don't know
very
how much he's
exciting.
got tied up in inflatable donkey balloons.
Gosh. Side fucking story. ARFA,
Versus the main thread of this episode.
yeah, right. The woman's company who ships you all of your Idle Thumbs merchandise. I was in there the other day, and there's just one of those giant inflatable couriers is for some
Really?
reason
From Dota 2?
dangling in Nuna's ceiling, and they're fucking big. They're as big as that yoga ball.
Wow.
Yeah, so the guy who's got 100 of those.
That's Invictus, right? The hat.
For context,
For
readers,
context, yeah.
we have a yoga ball.
yes, we do.
There's a reader
It's
who
green.
follows the gray markets of Valve digital and now non-digital goods that have digital goods attached to them.
Yeah.
And he told a story about somebody buying
And he
dozens
offered to
upon
hook us up
dozens.
with,
Why didn't we take him up on the
hundreds of these
offer for a few
inflatable
donkey
core-
balloons?
Yeah, why didn't we do that?
We don't have room for a few donkey balloons.
But they're not
You can
inflated
have
right now.
one.
We need at least 5 so
One
that we can
donkey.
helium them from our deck like a Dota version of the Pink Floyd Animals cover.
That would be fine. That would be
hilarious.
that would be sensational.
Yeah. Or maybe we could get 100 of them and inflate them all and then have a small child float away.
Oh my god.
Or Danielle.
Or
me.
Danielle.
Yeah. The
Probably
lives
wouldn't
of all
take
of
When I
us.
was a kid, I used to have
Those are probably my 2 suggestions last time we talked about this, by the way, so let's just note that. Sorry.
when I was a little kid, I used to have day nightmares about just getting carried away
Daymares?
by
no.
but because I wasn't asleep, I don't know what you call it, but I would just
Right.
have flights of,
You had a
of
fear,
fancy
yeah.
where I would just be terrified that if I collected enough balloons at I don't know, a birthday party or something, I would just float away.
They would
makes
tie
sense.
themselves to your
and then
wrist.
just die. I would just be dead. It
You'd be
was
like a
potent-
raccoon or small creature that just is so excited about having it that you won't let go, but that will then
Death grip.
become your own demise.
When everyone on the
Exactly,
ground would be cheering you on, like, "Oh, look at that kid! Go, kid, go!" And then you're like, "No, I'm doomed."
And you're screaming. Yeah. I'm gonna die. Oh.
Yeah, it was bad. I didn't like thinking about it.
Yeah, that is a horrifying thought. When you're little, everything is scary. Everything in the world.
Sort of. Things are the things, maybe a lot of things that probably should be scary are not.
Right.
And a lot of things that are
You
not
get to
actually.
a car,
Yeah.
you're being kidnapped. You're
Right.
like, whatever.
Things
could be
things that are never going to be a concern, like floating away on a bunch of balloons and then dying.
That said,
Probably not worth being scared
it's
about.
probably good
Yeah.
that small you existed pre-YouTube and pre-GIF, because you could probably find video of a kid actually making it over a park fence because he's holding too many balloons.
Probably true. Yeah, I remember the moment I started being scared of that too was when I was really little, and I think where I was living in New York at the time, and I was carrying an umbrella, and it was just
Hopefully it was a really big umbrella, so it was super cute and awkward.
it was a full adult sized umbrella.
Good.
Golf umbrella.
Yeah, and it was
It's a
and it was
beach
just
umbrella.
really windy and really intense, and it at one point the wind just picked me up for 5 to 10 feet. Not not on the air, but horizontally.
Oh, right.
For,
Oh,
yeah.
You're like, whoa! They just picked me up a full floor up in the air.
Whoa, Mary Poppins.
No, just like a shallow arc, probably a
I get
foot,
you. Yeah,
a foot
yeah.
high.
You took a
Yeah.
step and you glide.
Yeah, I was like, whoa!
For a
And I'm
minute
like,
you
oh my-
flew.
I was so that freaked me out so much because what if I was that just
What
happened
if those
forever?
were real balloons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if there were balloons tucked under this umbrella?
What if a clown? What if a like Central Park clown balloon salesman ran up to me, stuffed a bunch of balloons under my umbrella, and then ran away?
And then went.
You can't trust clowns.
Yeah.
They'll do that to you. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
That was the day you were first afraid of balloons, umbrellas, and clowns.
The combination.
And especially the balloon umbrella clown cocktail.
Man, speaking of traveling via balloon, Nick Breckon.
Well, that was a good seg there.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh yeah, this iOS game.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Oh, right.
I think the game Nick and I have probably played most in the last week, I would guess.
Yeah.
In my
certainly
case,
me.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah.
Is a game called 80 Days by Inkle Studios, I believe.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I have a question though.
Okay. I'll describe it real quick and then ask away. So 80 Days is basically an interactive fiction game with a really, really heavy map component and a light economic component. It's based on Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days, and you are you are put in the role of his valet, Passepartout, and you
His valet.
his valet, whatever, however it is preferred in this usage. And
Like in 2 weeks, we've played games where like you're the lovable scamps from the street who kind of help Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
You're a valet. Like, you're never the cool dude.
no, but what's funny is that in this one, as I guess in Sherlock, like in the Sherlock Holmes game, you're ostensibly just kind of the raw information gatherers, but really what you're actually trying to do is like piece together the entire thing. And also in 80 Days, what you're effectively doing is actually just charting and successfully executing a full trip around the world while your master, like the gentleman,
He just goes,
is just kind of this weird aloof presence in the background as you play it. You know, like
He's just a giant anchor. I mean, he's often the reason why you lose the game.
God, I love that Nick's fantasy of this game is like, if I'd only cut loose this rich guy.
It's true. He gets sick. He's always just getting sick in Hawaii and just.
He's never gotten sick in my game.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting. Well, the health meter in the bottom. Well, I push him pretty hard. To be fair,
I'm like really.
he bucks a little, but you gotta be stern.
I'm so conscious of not letting him get like too tired or unhealthy. Like I never let his health dip down.
Whereas Nick's like,
so much.
I'm getting this sack of bones around the world if it kills if it kills him.
I got a thing I got this rhino horn. It's worth 6,000 pounds. I don't have time for your shit. We got to get to Jakarta now.
Wait, so he's just your mule?
Yeah.
Like
No.
You're his mule.
Right, but I mean, in the case of Nick, it sounds like Nick is basically just moving merchandise by way of this rich guy.
It never does
Whereas,
specify who carries the bags.
I have the papers you need for international travels. Get this fucking rhino horn over the border. It's like
he's just a front.
Nick is actually living the world of Cloud Atlas, where he's just secretly poisoning this guy to eventually just bleed him out of stuff.
I actually
Cloud
did
Atlas
think of
spoiler.
Cloud Atlas while I was playing the game. For that reason.
God.
For that, of course you did.
Yeah.
Wait, so how do you actually do things?
Okay,
in this game?
So real quick, the setting of this game is 1873, which I assume is also the setting of the book. I read that book, I think, when I was a kid, and I remember basically nothing about it.
And you were afraid of balloons.
and you were afraid of balloons.
During your terror of
We're
balloons.
putting everything together.
I read this sort of lighthearted Jules Verne adventure under a fucking blanket with a flashlight. My door triple locked.
So the setting is sort of, ostensibly is, a British gentleman and his servant traveling around the world in 1873, but it is like sort of it's kind of a steampunky kind of now everyone in the world is equal kind of theme. I feel like it's a very common kind of nerd trope, right?
Yeah,
it's like
sort of.
it's like England in the late 19th century, except social equality is real and there's robots. Like that, I feel like that is like a combined.
So everyone has a balloon
that exists as a setting in stuff, and this is that, which I'm usually not like. It's usually not my favorite thing, but I actually like how they did it in this case.
Yeah,
it's got it. It provides for a kind of a cool examination of sort of colonial themes and like empire and.
Yeah, because the subtext isn't gone. It's just sort of
like you're still your master, especially what's the guy's name? Phileas Fogg.
Yeah,
he's still kind of just the aloof British aristocratic whatever. But he's still
Dandy.
dandy. Yeah, he's still that character. Maybe not a dandy because he's very buttoned down.
I see.
But he's very aloof. He's wealthy. He's sort of very much sees himself as the civilized man. And so you can choose to play Passepartout as either closer to that or more of kind of a wide-eyed kind of citizen of the world, or as someone who is just kind of like suavely cool with everything, and so you kind of bounce off the British colonial attitude against the like potentially kind of more progressive attitude if you choose to play it that way. And you encounter all kinds of characters through the world who, are clearly very intentionally written to buck against Victorian era British stereotypes of other cultures. And so like in this game, Africa has strong like air superiority with just in the fiction of this world, like African steamship, like flying, what is it? African airships, I guess, are like, quite renowned. And like all the different cultures have their own different kind of technological marvels. Yeah. And then there's also kind of running animosities that I like because they take actual things going on in the world at the time, like conflicts regarding like the Austro-Hungarian Empire and like the Holy Roman Empire and things like that. And then there's also these kind of more fantastical subplots about like the artificer, I don't know how to pronounce that word. The guild that makes robots, and
Yes.
people who are suspicious of kind of artificial intelligence and mechanized workers and things like that. So there's those kinds of struggles that are going on. It's really well thought through, and the way you play it is by charting courses from town to town or from city to city throughout the world, learning through conversation what routes are available, and then just reacting to events that happen, right? So like you'll be approached by someone, or you'll go out and explore the town and get involved in a fight, or you're buying and selling goods that are worth more in certain cities. And so is it worth like going out of your way to go to this city that maybe will cost you a couple days, but you'll make £5,000 by reselling it there, which is actually important because withdrawing money from the bank requires you to burn at least 1 day at a time. Like, at least 1 day is just gone every time you take money out of the bank. And so, picking up a quick buck is actually quite valuable if you're also making progress. It's just balancing a lot of these little things. It's really fun.
That's the reason that I think it's special, is that it balances all of that stuff really well. Mm-hmm. Like I was thinking about it on the way over, and I feel like both from just a presentational standpoint, I don't know, there are a lot of narrative fiction games that I feel like fall very heavily on the narrative fiction side of things. And I feel like this is, and I also think that it would have been a mistake to take this game, take the narrative fiction element, and then, abstract it with 1,000 different gameplay mechanics. It just does enough of that stuff.
No, they pick their battles well.
They pick their battles really well. And also, the stuff that's in there that is fiction, one, it's really well done, but then two, it incentivizes you in a way that normally a narrative fiction game doesn't, to like the core mechanic being this, the timer being built into everything incentivizes you to talk to people and
just the number of
sort
days.
of roll the dice. Yeah. And the clock is constantly ticking down. And so you would feel like, oh, well, naturally the best way to play is just jump to the next city and keep moving. But you find out really quickly that talking to people is the way that you actually, actually having those conversations and finding the stories is one way to, speed the journey along. It's basically a roll of the dice, but it's a nice job of getting you to enjoy that content in a way that is actually satisfying from a gameplay side.
Yeah. And it's also just satisfying on the content side.
Oh man, it's really good.
I mean, I had a moment where I just quit my game entirely because I was on a huge journey on the Trans-Siberian railway across, all of Russia, and halfway across, your character is sort of he's, as I say, you can play him a bunch of different ways, including being very standoffish, or being really like flirty, or being, trying to, play off his sort of worldly experience with all these careers he's had and so on. And so I always just the way I play games like this is always just to be as engaging with all the characters as I possibly can. Like I always want to like experience those stories. I mean, if they're well done, which I think they are in this game. And I remember there was you, at least in my playthrough, I don't know if this happens always, but in mine, I ran into this woman on the Trans-Siberian Railway or Express or whatever it's called. And that is a journey that crosses several cities. Like there are some journeys that just go from one city to another city. And there are some that pass through up to like half a dozen cities on a straight rail shot. You just buy one ticket and it takes like 17 days, but you'll traverse an entire
You
continent.
can choose to manually stop.
Yeah, so that's related to my story.
Yeah.
So and so like we had, 2 or 3 encounters where, every night I would go out and take a walk and you can choose to stay in your room and tend to fog or to go out and do things or to like make money or whatever. And I would always go out on a walk and I would encounter this woman and then we would plan to meet again. And then I remember one day we got to some Omsk or something, some city halfway through the continent, and I needed to get off the train for some reason because I had an expensive item that I knew was worth a lot there. And I'm like, oh, well, I'll step off the train here, and then like the next day we'll get back on a train and keep going. And I got off, and then as I got off, it was like Madame whatever, like Mademoiselle whatever, like comes to the side of the train, looks at you longingly as it like speeds away, and I'm like, oh fuck,
Oh no!
shit, like, I totally missed my date. I was like, fuck this, and I just quit the game and didn't play it for the rest of the day.
Have you actually discovered what the character is though?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's interesting. The
Oh, it
relationships are
sounds
really interesting. There is some like really like I guess low percentage because I was reading the author was talking about some of this stuff.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah, her name is what? Meg Janth?
Janth,
Yeah,
yeah. And there's some really low percentage like runs of this game that result in stories, but there is.
What do you mean
think,
by low percentage?
just very few people have experienced them.
Like,
because
just-
there's so
just
much
low
content.
random rolls. Okay,
She
yeah.
said, God, I can't remember. I was tweeting at her a couple of times. She said it took her 9 months to write all of this stuff, and it's
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
500,000.
There's so much stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, she did a lot of work, but yeah, there's some really interesting playthroughs. It's worth playing through 3 or 4 times.
Is this
God, this
just-
game sounds fucking good.
Yeah.
I mean, the one
Is
thing.
it just iOS?
Yeah. so
Yeah,
far,
well, like
yeah.
Inkle
So-
is like an engine, right?
So yeah, they have
They made Sorcery
their
and
tool,
Sorcery 2?
Yeah, and you can just
Yeah.
download their tool and make a thing in it.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
nice.
like. That's what I
yeah,
was gonna
yeah.
bring
I
up.
knew that's what
Like,
you were going to talk about. Yeah,
yeah.
It's pretty cool. Like there are
Have you
already
been fucking around with
stories. No, I haven't checked it out yet, but
okay.
there are stories up there. Like Lee Alexander had a story on their site. Like
Oh,
just
sweet.
like people have. I feel really late to the party on all this stuff because
Yeah,
I feel
I've
like
known
I've
for a
never
while.
heard-
It's
I've never
like it was
heard-
one of
yeah.
those things where like
Yeah.
we're trying to get the company up and everything. I'm like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't go near that because that'll just be
Right.
I'll
Yeah,
go into a hole.
I heard about it for the first time, Nick, when you posted one of your auto tweets.
Yeah.
About you had just.
Well,
completed
so
an
I auto tweeted.
83
I never do the auto tweets.
I never
However,
do either.
I purchased the game off of one of those auto tweets. So I
Right.
thought, oh, pass it down.
Exactly. I did the
nice.
exact same thing. And so I never post that stuff either, ever. But since I bought the game just sight unseen based on your tweet, when I completed mine, I did the auto tweet. And then I had other people reply
Yeah.
to me on Twitter and be like, this is awesome. Thanks for like.
I mean, it's a
sharing
good
your
version
thing.
of that. Like, it
Oh,
just
yeah.
takes each day of your journey and spits out one sentence that sort of summarizes what happened. So, like, I got punched in Omsk or whatever. It just spits out day
Just to
37.
clarify
like,
for anyone who might misunderstand, it's one tweet at the very end of the game with all those
Yeah,
sentences in it.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not one tweet per
it's not
day.
the sorcery
Okay, yeah.
thing where it's just constantly.
Nick, you
spinning out
you
these-
had one caveat about this. It sounded like maybe you
I
might
don't
have
think I had a
forgotten it.
caveat. I was just going to talk about the insane murder mystery that occurs in this game. It's really like
What?
Like the thing
Why
you
did
experience.
you talk about that beyond saying
Oh,
that?
that scene is so cool. That part is so cool.
Right.
I didn't.
I guess it's because it's so cool.
I didn't want to. I didn't
No,
want
sorry.
to describe
I was on my
it, but
third.
I wanted to,
I was on my third playthrough, and
Yeah.
I only got that for the first time.
Right.
The third time.
Yeah.
I gotta fucking play this game.
Pacing wise,
Oh, I wanna play this too.
Pacing wise, most of the
good.
game, it's very measured in the sense that if you go from one city to another, you're going to hit, roughly like 2 minutes of fiction content.
Right.
And then every now and then, maybe like 3 times per playthrough, there will be a long journey where one of those just
Yeah.
mega stories.
Did you encounter the mutiny?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had most of them at this
There's a
point.
mutiny.
Probably.
There's a murder mystery. There's
The murder
flirting.
mystery, it's amazing because what happens is you think, oh, it's just the length of one of these little chunks.
I know,
and then it just unravels and
know.
keeps going.
I didn't give it
15 minutes.
I didn't give it
sitting there
you're
playing,
killing it.
you're playing a game in a game, basically.
You're really...
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're doing it now.
I just want to say one thing about that,
really
then,
good.
we can wrap it up. But yeah, when
I want to tell you who killed the guy in the murder mystery.
I don't know who did
That's
it.
the
'cause
thing.
I didn't start off taking it seriously enough. I was just like,
Oh, really?
clicking through
Oh,
and
God, it's so good, though.
I know.
Like, what
But I
it does, the way it's written, it so naturally makes you feel like you're solving that
I know
crime.
because we've been.
So it makes you feel like
fantastic.
Sherlock Holmes.
Yes,
It does.
It's the game that makes you feel like Sherlock Holmes that no
really
Sherlock
does.
Holmes game makes you feel like.
No,
It's
that board
probably
game we
my
talked about
goatee,
last
I
week
think.
also makes you feel like Sherlock Holmes.
Right, but we were talking about how the reason that game does that is because it's totally freeform
Right.
and isn't multiple choice, which this game actually is. But they did such a good
But they
job
nailed
at approximating that
Yeah.
that feeling.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing piece of work.
I need to play this so badly.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that was 80 Days. It's available on iOS for $4.99 from Inkle Studios. I
Sounds
think.
fine as a game.
sounds like a game.
It's fine.
Is it just for iPad? This is a dumb
iPad
question.
and-
I played it on
iPhone.
iPhone. I played it on iPhone. Yeah.
Rad.
It's for the international operating system.
I see. Excellent.
There's a thing that this isn't about this game specifically, but I always like playing games like this that are very that look like they wouldn't be games that I would like, and then I really do. This game looks like it would. You could imagine a game that looks like this and plays a lot like it, that is a total just free to play monetized garbage fest, because so much of the game has to do with time passing and items that you're buying and selling, and like buying extra space to hold your baggage. These are all things that there's so many examples, like multi-million-dollar successful games that take all those things and turn them into charging real dollars. And this is just pay us $5 and then have this like amazing huge thing. And it also looks like it's not visually amazing. It's totally fine. And there's like ink line art illustrations. They're actually really, those are the nice parts when the illustrations that show you what your mode of transport looks like. Those are really nice illustrations, and I like those a lot. But most of the rest of the game just kind of looks like it's like a mobile thing. You know, it's fine. Like, it's clean, but it's not amazing. And I realize how biased I am towards games that have like a really obvious visual sense of style and flair. And I'm really glad that I just played this, and it's great. And I don't care that it's not like precious or kind of like flashy looking or, you know, super stylish or anything. It's just really good. It's just really, really good.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Play it.
Yeah.
I really want to play this game.
You should.
Sorry that Nick and I just dominated.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fine.
It's
fine.
Good.
It's not really worth talking about anything else really after that, I don't think.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we should.
Let's
All right.
take a break.
Alrighty.
This week's episode was brought to you by Hover, an amazing domain name registrar that we use for everything. They are doing a sale right now. They have lowered prices on all their domains, including wacky new TLDs like .club,
Cool.
.cool. I assume that's what you were referring to.
That's
Nick.
what I was referring to.
.cool.
Yeah.
And they have a sale going on .com domains too, classic domain. So yeah, we use Hover for all of our websites, have done for years. They're amazing. They're easy to use. They're easy to transfer domains to. It's just a great service all around.
I agree.
You better agree. Hover.com/Jake or enter the promotional code Jake. Why am I not doing this with Jake?
I don't know.
Hover.com. This episode is also brought to you by NatureBox, a delicious snack subscription service that delivers all kinds of wonderful treats right to your home or office. And if you sign up with the offer code THUMBS at naturebox.com/thumbs, you can get a free NatureBox sampler thing that has 4 sample-sized treats and a full-sized bonus treat for only $2 shipping. It's great. Yeah. I see Nick Breckon rustling through our latest NatureBox right now.
I am. I'm on the scene. These look delicious. I wish that they were still in.
I know,
in their
you
containers.
got.
They're all gone. I can report.
It's because we ate them all immediately.
Yeah, these honey macadamia pretzel pops.
Those
Sounded
are delicious.
Good. They would have
Yeah.
been delicious right now.
I think those are Jake's favorite. Yeah,
Mandarin garlic peas,
I'm all about the peas.
seaweed rice pops,
Those things are good. You eat them like crazy. You eat them like popcorn, basically.
caramel pretzel pops. Lots of pretzel pops
Yeah.
going on here. So if you like pretzel pops,
If you like pretzel pops, blueberry nom noms, all kinds of stuff, go to naturebox.com/thumbs. Get your free NatureBox trial. Video games. Do you know if the Virgin America credit card lets you cancel or change flights without paying if there's like someone else on your booking?
Oh, I think we've talked about this.
Thanks, Virgin America Visa, for sponsoring
This episode
week's
brought to you by Richard Branson's Empire.
Richard Branson.
That's his,
I don't know.
that's his slogan. He paid a lot for that jingle.
Richard Branson's Empire is their competitor to 80 Days.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Travel around the world and to Mars as Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
As Richard Branson's sad, like, pack guy.
Executive assistant shithead.
Yep. Yes.
Excuse me, it's Shahid.
Just fucking Chad. Yeah. But he's actually his adopted son for business, for tax reasons. So it's Chad Branson.
Chad Branson. Or you can call him Chard for Richard.
Yes.
Chard
God.
Branson.
Chard.
You said charting twice, and I thought you said sharding twice.
I heard that too.
And I was like, what?
That's part
What?
of this game. There's a sharding mechanic.
Call
in
him
this game.
Sharding Branson.
Sharting Branson.
Welp.
Adam sharded on the Champs-Élysées in France.
No.
And we're back.
In his pants?
Well,
No,
yeah.
just out in the open air. He just
I don't know, like in a public restroom? I don't know.
No, he was walking down the Champs-Élysées and he sharded, and he said, I sharded, and then made a shriek.
Wait, who is this?
My best friend. Sorry, Adam. You don't listen to the podcast.
Video game. Are we back here already?
Speaking of
We're
sharding,
going to come back.
or maybe
We're
just
not
shitting your
speaking
pants.
of that. Okay,
Maybe
I mean,
just pants
What do you
shitting
got?
scares.
What do you have?
Maybe.
Go for it.
I've been playing a lot of horror games,
Oh.
including Alien Isolation, which I've already talked about, but also a new one that I have not talked about
Wait,
before.
real quick.
I'm in.
You should give an update on Alien Isolation.
Oh,
Are we
sure.
done yet?
How are you still feeling?
I'm in
on
the
it?
early 20s in terms of
Hours? Oh my
hours in this
goodness.
game. I still have
so I
several
played-
hours to go.
I played like 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first 10 hours of this game, with, a couple of of exceptions, are like magic. Like game of the year. I still feel like overall this game is just the just boldest AAA game that I think I've ever played in my life. Like it makes a lot of very risky decisions. It disempowers the player. It lets the player feel completely, utterly.
Played Far Cry 2.
Oh God. I mean, I think it actually goes in a way further extreme.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because you're literally hiding under tables and in closets
true.
and
Yeah,
in
that's
lockers.
true. That's actually
and
totally
you
true.
you can do nothing until you get a certain item where you can do a little tiny bit of something. Where encountering the
missile
alien,
launcher.
encountering the alien is not always certain death. Always once you get this item, but it can be at any
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's really, really bold and something that very
That's
few AAA games do.
Yeah.
Wait, so what do you think about it, Nick?
Nick hates it.
Nick has opinions.
There's opinion.
No,
There's an
I don't want to talk
opinionated
about
face.
it really, but
Now that
So
conflict might
I'm
be
of
present.
two minds on this game though, because in some respects,
Tell us both your minds.
Yes.
in some respects, it is the game that we've talked about before for years of just there's
The single enemy.
the single enemy guy that runs around in the thing, and that's cool. And it's well done. It's really well done. That part. That being said,
Spent 4 years making exactly what I wanted.
well, it's not really though, because the thing that I don't like about it is that it's not truly open. That those sections are contained within a standard level structure, and also just I have a lot of weird presentational things that bother me about that game. But I don't know. Like,
No, I want to hear them.
man, I don't know. The first hour was really rough for me. So, like, I love the art direction in terms of they're just, we're gonna make Alien and it's gonna look like Alien and it's whatever. But then like MS Paint graffiti.
Oh yeah, the graffiti's
graffiti.
awful.
Oh my
it's awful.
God, and then just I hate shitting on this game. I don't know why I'm doing this, but like it did bother me a lot, and just I don't know, a lot of choices like that made me sad. But those sections are cool. The Alien is pretty well done.
The blood graffiti is a bummer because even just
or
does-
whatever graffiti. Maybe
Right, well,
Yeah, it's just
who knows?
dumb.
The
yeah.
graffiti
It's not just
is dumb because
So-
if you're
Yeah.
you say we're making a thing that is a perfect replication of the experience aesthetically of Ridley Scott's Alien, but then we're going to graffiti it.
Yeah.
That
And the
already
BioShock-
fails. Like that already fails. Like BioShock, you're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
Dishonored, you're starting from scratch. City 17, you're starting from scratch. They all have graffiti in them, and it's stupid. But like
Yeah.
Alien, you already have Alien, and it doesn't have that bullshit in it. So maybe don't put it in your game if you're gonna make everything look like Alien.
I was going to say the BioShock element of it that I hate in this game is a sort of like, and there are audio logs
know.
too.
Yeah, I'm
you know,
so-
like they just didn't need any of that. It's just stuff that it just feels like they made this amazing game. They made this incredible AI for the Alien, which is like
I have a question for you.
incredible.
I have a
Yes,
question for you.
Yes,
Do you think, because I know you love PT,
I do.
do you feel like there was because when I don't, maybe this isn't a question, but just a statement that I think maybe you would think is, so I feel like there was probably a version of this game that was a vertical slice that probably resembled PT, that was the alien going around a level, and they were like, oh man, this is fucking cool, let's make this. And then they added a bunch of BioShock stuff, and that's the stuff I don't like about it.
Yeah, I'm worried about that too. And I think you're right. I feel like they really should have just. Somebody tweeted this at me today when I was sort of just meandering, like having all these thoughts about this game. And they tweeted something like, this feels like a game that a bunch of like talented, intelligent super fans made, in that it does things really well, and it actually recreates this world really well, and it does a lot of things just in a really great high fidelity way. But there was no self-editing. Like,
Yeah.
this is a bunch of fans who love it so much that they just threw everything
Can't
into
pull
it.
themselves away.
Exactly.
When you're at 20 hours, I feel like that's
and I
probably...
have like 4 or 5 hours to go. Too.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Sort of in a great
get
10-hour
my
game.
brain around this
Yeah.
game being this long.
I know.
It's
I can't.
know.
fucking
Weird,
figure
yeah.
it
You
out.
Can though, because if you think about, like, I think the fan analogy is accurate because it's the same exact thing as someone starting to write, like, I don't know, a Crash Bandicoot comic or something, or a novel.
What?
Look on the internet, whatever. Fucking
Yeah.
X-Files fanfics, your
Well, it's
Star
like-
Trek
Sure.
lore,
Here's
and
the
you're
thing.
just
You're
gonna
totally
write.
missing my point.
You're gonna write 500,000 pages of it, not because it's the right
if
choice.
You're gonna write Star Trek lore. Sure, I could see this game being 100 hours, 200 hours, because you have the universe. How do you spend 20 hours in a spaceship?
I don't know.
It's,
You don't go anywhere else.
but
Like, how do you physically like?
there's a lot of
can't figure it
backtracking in
out.
the second half of the game, for sure.
Yeah.
Backtracking.
Yeah, that question.
That's really the thing that keeps hanging me
Yeah.
up.
Okay,
It's
but
you're
that-
on a spaceship.
well,
Yeah, but you can always just.
Is there like a garden?
You're on a
There's
spaceship that then goes to a
like,
station, though, right?
Sort
There's a
of.
sense.
start doing that shit, right? Where you're like, oh, this is like the mechanics bay. That's
That's
also
kinda-
this
yeah,
other thing.
Right.
Like, oh,
sort of
this
what
is
they
where they
do.
grow the food, and it's actually
Right.
really big. And there's
Yeah.
a garden, and there's a.
But you're asking why did they do that, not why. How can they? Because
You just have to
it's
start-
a video game. You can
it's
always
a-
just put more stuff
I
in
know.
it.
Oh, obviously, yes. But like you start to bend the possibilities
Sure.
of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
setting.
Yeah.
I
When
think
you're
that-
like, we need
yeah.
to fill this to place.
The worst part is emotionally how this is a pretty one note game. This is an incredibly tense game. Like I streamed this for
It's
6
packing.
hours the other day.
I really
Like,
man.
and
gotta play
I
it.
just like my
I have to
hands
know.
were actually like white knuckle and actually sweating, and my neck hurt after 6 hours of playing this game. And like,
Wait,
I
you
was just
played
like,
it 6
oh my
hours
God.
straight?
Yeah, I streamed it 6 hours.
Because you'd been
straight.
talking about how you'd been really enjoying
for
it in
charity.
No, just for fun.
Okay.
Because I like it that much. I really love
In
being
the
in this
previous 2
world.
weeks, though, you talked about how you'd been enjoying it in very small bursts and how
I
that was
have.
probably what was making it very enjoyable. And then you're like, fuck it.
Okay,
Because
hold
because
on.
I
Of a
didn't-
day.
It's
Much
because I
like-
didn't die for like
I mean,
several
the whole
hours.
box of Oreos.
Much like that
yeah,
Crash
basically.
Bandicoot fanfic author, she just couldn't pull herself
Couldn't
away.
stop.
But okay, it's because you actually were doing really well. It's 'cause
I was
you were,
doing well, and I wasn't dying that
You were
much.
having like an alien hot streak.
I was having a good day.
Right.
Yeah, it was one of those. And like, this game is something that I feel like you should break it up. If you're doing well, fine. You don't have to stop yourself artificially, but don't keep going after like several deaths.
Don't
which
let
is-
yourself get into the frustrated, like, oh,
which
God, okay.
happens.
Right,
yeah,
I'm sure.
absolutely. It definitely happens.
I've generally just been stopping when I die.
Yeah, that's a good
That's
good way of
pretty
doing
much-
it.
You're doing the
I-
Alien Isolation Daily Challenge.
Yeah,
I should go back
more or
and play
less.
more of this
yeah,
game. I really should.
I really love this game. It frustrates me that there's those elements, and I agree with you completely, Nick, on this sort of like crap that they sort of feels like
just-
thrown in a little
The
bit. in a
alien
way.
is really compelling. Like
Yes.
I hit a moment just a couple hours ago where like there
The compelling alien.
he is he's a gentleman.
A compelling.
I call mine be.
That's going to be
you know,
as his next novel, by the way.
the gentleman alien.
Yeah. Well, he does kind of walk
A compelling
little,
alien.
He does.
Starting to
He
leave.
has like
I
a
can
little
see the
swish
top
to
hat.
his hips.
Somebody-
you know?
He
There's
drags road cones around. Have you
Yeah,
seen
the
that
alien.
GIF?
What? Yeah.
It's a
Oh,
Have
yeah.
you seen the actual video?
Yeah.
There's a guy who is streaming this whose username is just like
Devious cone
It was
or
like
something?
the
Or
crazy
dangerous
cone or something, and he was live streaming this, and then he hid in a hallway, and the Xenomorph walked by, and then there was like silence for like 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Then he walks by again, and you know how his tail's just super long?
yeah,
He
yeah.
clears 80% of the hallway. Then at the very back of his tail, a safety cone is just affixed to it, just resting. It looks like the tip of his tail's hiding under it.
He's dragging this cone.
Dragging across. And this guy whose username is Cone and whose icons are safety cones just loses his fucking mind.
And his chat explodes.
His chat just loses his mind. And then then the alien walks by again. And
winks at him.
No, it knocks another cone into the scene, and then still has the other cone affixed to it. So that alien has just
It just like tromped through a pile of cones.
What's funny is that's exactly what happened to a guy at a party wearing a costume.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I mean?
why. Okay, this is the most.
Party
This
cup.
is the most ridiculous
You're
thing
like,
about
oh,
it.
get it off, guys.
The
Come on.
video's hilarious.
Xenomorph.
You should watch the video version of it. But the first one I saw was a GIF, which was rendered at like 400 pixels by 200 pixels or whatever. So it's really small, and they nailed the lighting and the color palette so well that I saw this looping GIF.
You thought it was like a
an
DVD
alien walking
extra,
by.
right?
Yes, I genuinely thought it was an outtake from a filming of one of the Alien movies where the guy in the suit was like dragging the cone around, and the crew was like. Because the camera kind of wobbles at the end, which is the
But
guy's
it's because the
mouse
guy's
look
fucking mouse
wobbling.
look wobbles.
Oh god!
But it just looks like the cameraman just cracked up at the end.
Oh, it's so
so
amazing.
Yeah, oh man, that guy just loses his fucking mind when that happens.
Also, I gotta say, the word xenomorph sucks.
It's
Yep.
really
It does.
bad. I keep
Xenomorph?
It's pretty
Just
dumb.
the alien. Call it the alien.
Just-
I'm going to call it the
Frankie.
Xenomorph just to watch you sort of go,
it's so bad.
It's a really bad word.
It's a barf word.
yeah,
it's really
it's a,
bad.
it's,
I wasn't a big
Yeah.
enough Alien fan to know that the alien was called a xenomorph.
I didn't know that until very recently, yeah. And in the game, they refer to it as the capital A alien.
Yeah, they do. Or the creature. They don't have like a specific.
Yeah, they don't call
Yeah,
it,
that's what
which
they
is,
should do.
yeah, I agree. I totally
well,
agree.
if they're- yeah. Xenomorph spotted, game erased. Like,
yeah, totally. Oh, totally. But this might be my game of the year, depending on how bad
Heard it here
it shits
first.
itself.
what were you going to say? Okay,
What
but
other
Oh,
game?
yeah, The Evil Within.
I knew it was
Oh,
that.
I want to play this
Another
so bad.
horror game.
Whoa,
that is-
really?
Yeah. What,
Chris,
the guy
you
who made Resident Evil 4?
Oh, yeah, no, that's true.
This game,
I was just, I mean, I'm not saying really.
You just got so excited though. I was like, I haven't seen you that
I've-
animated in
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you that animated since the years had like not 2 zeros in them. Like, that was
Oh, man.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. Well, okay, so it's a third-person horror action game from the maker of Resident Evil 4, and it is, like, just batshit insane. Like, this entire game, I have no idea what's going on. I just know I'm playing as a guy who is supposedly a journalist who goes into this weird hellmouth area house thing.
This weird hellmouth area house
Quiet
thing.
for a second. Like hellmouth.
Area
Not
house
clarifying.
thing.
God.
Okay.
You know what flashed to mind? The
Crazy
weird, like,
haunted house. I don't know.
the weird mouth. Do you remember? Do you remember when, like, what was it? Quake 3.
Quake 3, I knew you were
first
gonna say
Quake 3
that.
screenshot where it was just a stupid
It's like
curved
weird
surface and the show off,
fangs.
just show off curved surfaces. It was just a fucking like bloody mouth,
Like a weird, like,
tunnel
skin
that you
mouth,
walk
yeah.
through.
Well, they shipped that level too, right? I remember that in the game.
Oh yeah,
God.
you fragged a man in that
Hellmouth
tunnel.
level?
Yeah.
Oh, it's really good.
There's a rocket launcher in there, I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything a man needs right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Okay,
I mean,
so you go into the weird hellmouth house area.
and
Quake
then,
3, you get a rocket launcher.
and then there's a stealth section to teach you sort of the stealth part of the game, which, you know, was interesting. And
It's where you
especially
kiss the Hellmouth. Jesus.
very gently, you know, because it has fangs.
It's cute. You sneak up on it.
It's a dude with a chainsaw. You gotta
Not cute.
walk around a room, and then you go through a sewer, and it's gross, and there's a lot of blood. It's like a blood sewer. And then,
Oh, then the whole world explodes.
and then you go into an ambulance.
Is that the sewer where they collect the toilet blood from the hellmouth
I guess so.
house?
I
Wait, so
think
hold
so.
on. You go into a blood sewer,
Yes, you do.
And then you're in an
swinging
ambulance?
around, and then there's a transition. You get outside. There's a cutscene. You get outside, and your friend who is driving you somewhere. I swear to God, this is like verbatim what happens in this game. I still don't know what's going on in this game, and I've been playing it. You are in an ambulance, and people start turning into horrifying creatures. You go off like a ramp, and the fucking ambulance is just like flying in the air. It lands, and then you start going into a shooting sequence, a sort of like third-person shooting area where you need to learn how to shoot things.
Wait, no, you skipped a spot. The whole world explodes while you're driving away in the
actually.
in the ambulance.
Yes.
When you're in the ambulance, buildings are falling
Buildings
down.
start crumbling around you and
Nick
exploding.
Brecken's recording waveform.
Is this a bar? Is this a
Silence.
solid bar?
How could I forget? It's like a weirdly, like if Inception were a lot stupider and like just the world just kind of crumbles on itself.
The Polygon quote on the box.
But this game is batshit. Oh, also the overworld, quote unquote, is a weird sort of insane asylum with a nurse who looks a lot like Bayonetta, and that's how you save your game. And you actually sort of the way you upgrade yourself and your abilities is you sit into an electric chair, and you have the electric chair, the device put on your head, and that's how you upgrade your abilities.
This sounds like the schlockiest
really
shit.
Oh, it
important
is.
question.
It is schlocky as hell. It is like all the way, everything cheesy Resident Evil, but intentionally cheesy.
Chris, what marketing did you see that made you react like you reacted at the beginning of this conversation?
None. Zero.
Obviously.
You've been subjected to some now. What's your new take?
I don't know. All I've seen is posts.
How far have you played?
2 hours, maybe. I'm not
Well,
very
okay.
far. I've been
So
playing more
quiz zone.
Alien.
Well,
What's your
I'm
map
just-
settings?
Well, no, because
linear filtering on.
I mean, I played like the earliest versions of this game at Bethesda.
Okay.
So like, but like, basically, the first, because I was talking to Steve about this game because I played.
Steve is into it.
Where's
Yeah.
the sixth
Yeah.
microphone?
Well, so
Here in spirit.
the first couple of hours are that, and then
Yes.
it becomes a Mikami game, from what I
Okay.
understand. And from what I played, that core of the game, like the actual game, has existed for forever. The rest of it, I think, yeah.
Let's see.
So
yeah.
there's a middle that is more of an expected
Yes.
experience, and then it
Yes.
just has, I guess, a huge opening credit sequence. Basically, like I mean,
yes.
Okay.
And
that
a lot
makes
of
a little
and
bit
a lot
more
of
sense.
tutorializing.
Yeah, there's just I'm basically just in these weird tutorial sections, and I'm all right, one part of me is saying like, okay, this is like treading on some gross stereotypes about mental illness and so on and so forth, that they feel a little bit lazy. This sort of like asylum stuff is definitely going on. But on the other hand, I'm sort of appreciating a video game while I'm playing Alien Isolation, which feels much more refined, I guess, in some ways. Maybe
Sure.
that's a weird
Right,
word
it's
to
trying
use,
to be
but
tonally consistent to
exactly.
something. Yeah.
And this feels
game
like
clearly
it's
is
it's not an ambulance
Whatever,
leaping out of an
yeah.
exploding city and a blood sewer.
exactly
Yeah.
like this. I'm having fun with that. It's also, it feels very seasonally appropriate here in the month of Shocktober that I play a really goofy horror
Yeah,
game.
no, that's fair.
Schlocktober.
Schlocktober. Yeah, that's what I've been playing.
This is a strange episode because we've covered a lot of very different stuff, and I just want to play all of it, and I haven't played any of it.
What if you could make a video game instead?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
You want to live that dream?
Jury's out on that.
Nice.
There was a book you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, other than it's just really good. I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about it because it's a book, and it's one of those things where you want to like.
And those are lame. So.
Yeah.
No, but you don't want to just fucking read it. So John Darnell, who's the main guy from the Mountain Goats, wrote a book that's up for the National
Actually,
Book
is
Award.
the Mountain Goats.
He is the Mountain Goats. He is Mountain Goat. He is a goat. He is goatsy. Wouldn't that be a fucking twist?
It really would.
You get the first edition hardcover and turn it over to the back and just go, okay.
That's an office photo.
Or you just go like, I know that ring.
Where have I seen
I
this
guess I
before?
don't know. Anyway, whatever. No.
So he wrote a book called Wolf and White Van that's small. It's like 230 pages. So really, you can... I don't know. I always feel like that's important to say because if somebody says a book's less than 250 pages and is great, I'm insta purchase because it's like, okay, I
Sure.
can get through it in 2 settings and I don't have to like feel bad if I don't.
What was it called again?
Wolf and White Van.
Okay.
It's actually about a game designer, but not a video game designer. I didn't know anything about this book.
A board game designer?
No, sort of a real world
ARGs
game
or something? Okay.
Yeah, kind of. It's a guy who I don't want to give too much of the plot away because I think discovering these things was really fun. It's a guy who makes his living. He lives sort of like relatively in seclusion. Makes his living by doing a basically D&D by mail of a world that he completely generated in his own brain. Sort of a post-apocalyptic world that he came up with in the inside of his
It's like his own intellectual property, like it's his own franchise.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
He's leveraging that.
He's leveraging his own IP. Is what he's doing.
It's like a business book, then.
And it's a book. This is the thing that I think is really remarkable about the book, is that it would very easily be able to be a book about the type of people who like games by exploring a lot of these sort of like internal processes and sort of like trends and attributes of somebody who likes to sit in a room by themselves and play a game. And it's not that it's not about that, because that stuff is this really delicate thread through it, but it's about the sort of solace of interiority across the board. It's not just about like the game that he designs and he references throughout the book. It's written in the first person, is important to the plot of the story and important to the book, but it doesn't feel like the book,
Right,
like the way
sure.
something like Ready Player One is, or whatever, you know. Because I'm not a big fan of that book. And it's great. It's really wonderfully, beautifully fucking written. Just jeez Louise, like really, really amazing. Yeah, it's really worth checking out.
Cool.
The game that he concocts in the story instantly made me want to like go make stuff. It's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really, really great. I highly recommend it. Wolf and White Van.
By
Nice.
John Darnell.
Very good. John Darnell, yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Do you guys want to take a quick break before reader mail, or do you want to just do it? Because
Let's just do reader mail.
All right.
I have a weird story too that we probably won't have time for, so I'll save it for next week.
nope.
Yes.
We're back.
I need an incentive. For
Oh, okay. What you don't want to? How can you resist that?
How can I resist?
How can you
what?
resist Nick saying, "I've got a weird story, but I guess I won't tell it"? How can you let that stand? Okay, whatever. Reader mail. Nick, you're back next week.
Next week.
This promise has
Everyone
been
harass Nick on Twitter to make
this
sure
promise
he
has
comes
been
back
written in
next week.
blood from a blood
it's probably
sewer
good.
on the
my God,
wall of
yes,
the space
it's on the
station.
From a hellmouth.
I got there.
of Nick
Yeah.
Breckon.
Yes.
From
Nick
my
Brecken's
hellmouth to
hellmouth.
your ears.
Next week on Idle Thumbs.
So good.
All right.
Shocktober continues.
Ian writes, "Hey guys, love the show. Your discussion on games have made me take second looks at games I would have skipped over. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome, Ian.
I come with a beef, however.
Tell your
in
friends.
episode
Oh, never mind. Don't tell your friends.
Don't tell anyone.
in episode 165, Jake compares Sonic fans to They Might Be Giants fans. Jake, what do you have against They Might Be Giants? And
Oh,
their
I think that's an
fans?
accurate. I think that holds water still.
No, okay,
Anyway,
wait a
thanks for
minute.
the laughs and mad props to Danielle for joining the crew. You rule. Much love to y'all, Ian.
One, I still really like They Might Be Giants. I listen to them far less frequently than I did when I was in my early 20s in college. But
Sometimes I draw my friends like some of their members on DeviantArt.
no, I think
Just like
I feel like my
Them all black
comparison.
rimmed glasses.
God, what are they both called? John? In that band? Their name is both John?
Yeah, it's
Because the fact that they both have the same name makes their fans even more like Sonic fans. 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone is like, who the Hedgehog, this person the Hedgehog, Bob the
yeah.
Hedgehog.
There was a while when it was
John-
John, and their backup band was Dan and Dan.
Oh,
my God.
I think I was
But
actually aware
the
of that.
comparison that I made was that Sonic stays the same, and their fans stay the same, but it's different people. Like
Yeah, exactly.
there's a new person who turns a double-digit age and thinks Sonic the Hedgehog is cool until they're like getting out of their tweens. And like They Might Be Giants, I feel is a little bit older on the scale, but it's like junior high through early college. You probably are. That's like you're in the They Might Be Giants zone, and
Yeah.
most people age out of it, or you like condense it down to just a few things you like. I like Sonic 2, and I like Flood and the original album. Like,
Like Sesame Street, too. You know, that stays the same. There are new children every year.
Sesame Street. you age out of it in a different way.
Yeah, but Sesame Street is something that's built for
Sesame
children,
Street
right?
I
predates
guess
your
that's
ability
a
to
good point.
self-define.
Sonic,
I think
yeah, Sonic and There May Be Giants
see.
are pieces of like they're media that aren't age targeted but have their audience that
Yes.
is a
I
window
see.
of somebody's life, and that window can shift left or right as opposed to being like has age written on the box.
Yeah, I think,
I see.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
and that's not to say you shouldn't like They Might Be Giants if you're older, or you shouldn't like Sonic the Hedgehog if you're older. But the core of those fan bases is
Stick
like
with that
that age
age,
window of
yeah.
human beings. I
Like
think.
if somebody said right now, "Oh, you want to go to the They Might Be Giants show?" I'm like, "Well, when? Like now? Like tonight?" I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, I would go. You know, I wouldn't like buy a ticket in advance, but like I would go. It seems like a good time. You're gonna have fun.
right, but you're not going to camp out for tickets for a day
No.
because then you'd be hanging out with a bunch of teenagers.
Well, I mean, are they cool? Like, are they want
And
to like
Sonic fans.
Do they want to party or
Yeah,
what?
they
I
want to party down a party or what? Add me on WhatsApp and we can be pals.
You guys going to hang out and draw Sonic fan art together?
I was gonna say.
Good. I'm going to
Here's
jail.
my Sonic Obama.
Well,
Sonic
these are the
dunking on
kids I draw
Obama.
Sonic fan art
Sonic
with, guys.
Obama. That's
What's
got a
the
good
deal?
assonance to
Have
it.
you seen the Sonic Obama Sonic fan art? My God.
I must admit I have not.
Thanks, Sonic Obama.
I mean, you could draw Sonic dunking on Obama. You know, it would be beautiful.
Well, I
Did
would
you
just be
see
jealous
that?
of Sonic.
Did you
then.
see that comic that Ollie Moss posted like yesterday?
Oh yes, I saw that.
It was Jack and Rose from Titanic, and Rose says, Draw me like one of your Sonic OCs."
Oh my God.
And then it's just the exact same shot of, you know, her posing nude and him like scribbling, and then the next shot is just a gross hedgehog
With boobs
and
and
like
nipples.
and hair.
Classic Sonic like peace sign.
And she's still doing the peace sign, and it says Rose the Hedgehog.
Oh wow.
It's really
Oh,
good.
it's delightful.
It's really
What's OC stand for?
original character.
Original character, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Marshall Sandoval writes, "Hey Thumbs, in episode 177, The Good Ones, Chris talks about 3D animated movies with a sense that just because you want the thing that'll make you better than everyone, you're actually secretly great. There might be these other people who've actually been working hard to get something, but they're probably assholes. I also find this trope annoying. However, Monsters University subverts this trope really effectively. Mike Wazowski wants nothing more than to become a scarer. He gets to Monsters University, but he's terrible at it. In the false climax, you think they settle for the he's secretly great ending, but they don't. I won't spoil it beyond that. It's delightful that they move past the cop-out. The credit sequence shows Mike and Sully literally working their way up from the mailroom to become the scorers we know on Monsters, Inc. The implication being that they actually do get what they've
Scarers.
aspired to, but
Scarers,
only with
Chris.
dedication, resilience, and hard work. It's the best. Please watch it. Regards, fuck Nick, Marshall Sandoval."
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I actually
Chris-
do think of all the Pixar films that I've seen, I think that's probably the one you would actually really enjoy
It's
that
quite
one.
I mean, I like a lot of Pixar movies.
I never
Yeah,
saw
but
the
no,
second
this one-
Monsters,
Yeah,
Inc.
Oh,
good.
Monsters University is great. Yeah.
That's what I heard. from
Several people have actually
Interesting.
said this exact thing to me since that episode, which is one of the reasons I wanted to.
It
It bums
read
me out that that movie sort of came and went. Maybe it didn't.
Yeah, I didn't hear
but
anything.
I feel like
must
it
have,
did.
because if it hadn't, Disney would still be like,
I don't feel
Yeah.
like
Showering
I don't feel
themselves
like
in
they did a good job of conveying to people why you should watch it if you already watched Monsters Inc. Like it just feels like it felt like a prequel, like a spin-off. It didn't feel like
yeah, it doesn't. It does. It feels like that decent Aladdin movie that wasn't Aladdin, like
The second one?
the Jafar movie that came
Oh,
out. And it
wow.
was like, oh, it was actually pretty good.
that's the second one that had. Yeah, okay. I was
Yeah.
going to get into weird Robin Williams stuff, but we won't go there. It's fine.
Yeah.
He wasn't in that one. He swore off Disney because of the first one, but then
That's
he
why
just
you killed
then he
him.
just came back for the paycheck on the third one.
There's a third one.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
the box art said featuring
all the
Robin Williams as
direct
Genie.
to
I've talked about this.
DVD Disney
but no,
movies
like,
are fascinating.
Monsters University is really good, and it's disappointing that like it sucks. Like it must be so fucking depressing to work at Pixar. No offense to anybody who works at Pixar listening to this podcast, but like that's a movie that seems like it has a really strong script and backbone, start to beginning.
And
Comes out
to end also.
start to beginning
And to completion.
like from the it feels like it had a, like I don't know, it's a good story and has integrity and seems like it syncs up with the previous film and is a sequel worth making, and then this sort of comes out doesn't set the world on fire the way Disney probably expects a Pixar film to do so.
And Cars 2 crushes it.
Yeah, and it's just like okay,
Yeah.
well maybe how many more bites of that type of apple?
Cars
are we
2
gonna
did
get?
not crush anything.
Really? I thought it did
I thought it was
very well.
huge.
Yeah.
I think it does well across lines of business. I don't know if it necessarily.
Yeah,
does
but
well at the
Cars
box
2 as a
office.
film, I think, is kind of internally considered not good, or like culturally, like within, like
Oh, sure.
not
Okay.
critically, but
I
I, mean,
thought
like,
I thought we were talking about dollars.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think that Cars 2,
I know Cars is like the most
It's their
profitable
property,
IP. to
yeah.
Cars
have.
as an IP crushes the earth.
Yeah, I think
like
you have to make the movie to keep the IP going.
Yeah.
So, but it's just kind of got to be a bummer. You're like, well,
Well, then they did
how am I not gonna-
Planes,
yeah.
which wasn't even Pixar.
Yeah, and they did Planes like Fire Brigade, or
I
something
didn't
like that.
realize
God.
those movies existed, and then I was
Oh,
at
man,
Disneyland.
you're not 7.
In,
I
in classic style, Firewatch are the game that we're working on had been announced right when that Planes Fire movie came out, and my girlfriend's mom was like, "Do you think this is going to like take some heat off of Firewatch? Like, is this bad for that game?" And
I think we're okay.
and she's like, "No, I think Planes like Fire Rescue is not going to touch Firewatch."
That's funny.
So good.
All right, Steve White writes, "Hey Thumbs, I don't mean to burst any bubbles here, but do you guys realize you're the hipsters of the video game industry?
Yeah.
Not the beard-toting, big glasses-wearing kind. I'm talking about those who want the opposite of cool, the ones who praise the ironic, those who want the subversive. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings.
No,
I find
it does
quite
not.
charming. With love, Steve, Tampa."
It hurts my feelings. Fuck that guy.
I actually take fucking strong. I have strong disagreement with that, but that's fine.
As well, you clearly will, as the hipster of the video game podcast world.
Would.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on it at all.
I don't. I
There's
actually.
also a word that's just fucking dead to
Oh yeah,
language.
it's dead.
It's a dead cliche word. Like, if it's...
I take issue with it only for declaring that we are ironic, because I feel like
We're the least ironic.
I feel like we are not
Yeah.
actually ironic. I feel like we're generally sincere. It just happens to be about a bunch of stupid garbage that no one cares about.
It's true, though, because, like, I don't think...
Which is a sincere statement.
I don't
you're
find,
right, though.
like, ironic enjoyment of something enjoyment. I find it to be, like, cynical and tiring.
Right.
I think if we like something, it's because we actually
If we were a
fucking like
podcast
it.
that went out of its way to find obscure bad things and then just talk about how cool we thought the bad things were the entire time, that would be very different, and that I would
Yeah.
I would fully take that. But I can't stand that stuff because I'm a fucking hipster. I want to point out something more important than this, which is that in the previous email you meant to say congrats, Nick.
Oh, good point. I did misread that. Yeah, I have that. I have those. I have kind of a dyslexia thing. With
Remember when
those
all those
words.
people said congrats, Nick?
Oh yeah.
They were
They
congrats.
did it. That was-
That's all the readers?
Man, that
was
email
laced
actually
with a
really
little
bums
bit
me
of,
out because that email is basically just like a bulletproof tank that is also a hall of mirrors, because you can't say anything about it without it going back at you. Like it's just
I mean, it's
like
how the cookie
I'm a
crumbles.
very-
perfect crime is
yeah.
sending any podcast that email, I think.
Perfect crime.
All
Especially
right.
because it ends with like, no, like not to hurt your feelings. You guys are great. It's like, well, no. What our message is being misrepresented? No.
All right, Ryan McDarmid writes, "Hey Thumbs, just started listening to the show in the last few weeks and been working my way back to the archives. Love the show. I'm writing because your various conversations about Doom and Doom mods, combined with your discussion about Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, dredged up memories of a game I hadn't thought about in a long time, Chex Quest. If you haven't heard of it, Chex Quest was a total conversion of Doom into a less violent FPS, included in cereal boxes to promote Chex to young children. Instead of fighting demons, the protagonist uses a device to zap booger-looking creatures called phlegmoids into another dimension. Also, he wears some sort of space marine power armor shaped like a golden giant piece of cereal. This is as completely as insane as it sounds. My brother and I were never allowed to have games like Doom when I was a kid, but we played this thing over and over. In looking up the game for this email, I discovered there are actually 2 sequels, the most recent one in 2008.
What?
No question.
Made it
really.
Unreal 3.
No question, really, other than to wonder if any of you have heard of this before. Just wanted to share this thing that sounds like a bad fever dream, but actually exists in our reality. Thanks for making a great show. All the best. Ryan McDermott, British Columbia, Canada. Having started with some older episodes, I think Danielle has been a great addition to the cast.
Thank you.
Imagine
Thank
the
you.
like mid-tier, sort of mid-era mocap of the guy wearing a giant suit in the shape of a big piece of Chex cereal, trying to like do dive rolls with ping pong balls on his body for the 2008 version of this game.
You know what this email makes me
amazing.
think about? It makes me wonder if it's still possible as a kid who lives in the world of the internet and like iPhones and Android phones and all this other stuff, to have that experience that, like, definitely as a kid you have certainly when we were growing up we had TV, we had other kids who had stuff that was different. Like every kid has different stuff, and like sometimes you're jealous of the stuff the other kid has. But often as a kid, it's possible to get into these little pockets where you have this one thing that you just play to death.
Yeah.
And you
Right.
have no way of knowing that it's not just ubiquitous, or that like
Or
other
that it's
kids
bad.
or that it's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
You're
like,
just like, oh.
Chex Quest. It's like the game we play.
Right.
You ever play? Hey man, you ever played Chex Quest?
Yeah.
Like, what? That sounds lame. And then like your
It's
world
impossible to, like,
shatters
have
as
a
that
birthday,
is said.
So there's just hopefully-
and then be like, oh, I had a birthday and got this CD-ROM that I now play, without being able to go bounce it off the sort
Right.
of like the,
Without like looking for a Chex Quest Let's Play,
Right.
and then
Right.
either it not existing or it exists as just like
a bunch of ironic
like
hipsters.
ironic hipster,
Hipster
Or,
podcast.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the kids scrolling through your website, Polygon, being like, I don't know, but they didn't review Chex Quest, I see. Like, I wonder why not. You know, like, oh, maybe it's just later.
I want there to be one kid in the world who has an Xbox 360 and all that he, like the game that he and his brother grew up on was Sneak King. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yes, thank God you're on the same Sneak King page as me.
Or that Yaris game that came out. God, do you remember that? It was a free game, the Yaris game.
Toyota Yaris game. I played that.
Really?
I played that and Sneak King within like a week of each other.
I said, like, I would never want Campo Santo to ever do work for hire, but a fucking, like,
Burger King.
yeah, no, not Burger King, but like, oh, somebody like, I don't know, Arby's.
Arby's is too ironic. Never
Burger
go there.
King, but Arby's.
Fast food. I guess
Jack in the
Taco Bell
Box.
I'd be totally fine with.
Taco Bell,
If Taco Bell was
There
like,
was
here's some money to make a game.
There
Oh,
was
it'd be
a
so hard
gummy
not to
bear
say yes.
game
was a
not
what?
too long ago. It was gummy bears, I think. It was some brand. It was like, God, Giant Bomb did a quick look of this like 2 or 3 years ago, and it was like a specific brand of candy, and there were little bears, little colorful bears. I don't know if it was actually like a gummy bear game, but it was something along these lines. And they had just the greatest conversation with the developer of this
Jake would make a
game.
Nerds game.
It was amazing.
I'd make a Nerds game. I'd make a sequel to Cool
Was
Spot.
that nerd?
I've been thinking about Cool Spot
N-E-R-D apostrophe S.
We've talked about this.
yes.
Nerds game.
Yeah.
We had an
Proper
episode
nerds.
called HD Cool Spot.
Yes.
Cool Spot was a fun game.
Avoid the Noid game was good.
Avoid the noise.
You can't bring back the Noid though because of that one complaint from that guy. What was there was
no.
there's a weird Noid
Yeah.
story and I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Someone was very upset by the
Yeah.
Noid. I think because they thought
They thought it was like a-
There was someone who developed this like paranoid
Horrible fear. Yeah.
nightmare that the Noid
like was based on him. I think. Or
yeah
something
was
like that?
based on his like likeness or something. And
God, it's so good. Oh, the fact that Noid and Paranoid.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause-
Oh, man.
So really, at this point, what you do is you license that guy's story, and that's the new Noid
That's
game.
the game.
It's just a
It's just like the crying of Lot 49.
yeah, it's a really. Oh my god, you make it from his
Oh my
perspective.
God.
You are the guy that thinks.
Yes.
I thought it was
Noid.
just a telling of his story, and it was just a really sad procedural. Like
No,
it's
you
just
call
like
it-
a
No, you
slice of
play it from
life
his
/ like legal
perspective.
proceedings.
Of course.
Oh my
You
god!
have to call it like paranoid
ends up-
identity theft.
Yeah, as opposed to like in the auction room at the end. He's just like in a like Domino's pizza.
No, he's in the
boardroom.
courtroom about this,
Oh my
and the
God.
ruling is coming down, but he just sees it coming down from the Noid. And he just,
That's the judge.
and then it's just like you can have the likeness back. He's just like, I don't think that I do. Like, it's over.
Oh my god.
You played Chex Quest. It sounds like
I didn't play it.
okay.
Oh, the guy's
But I'm
last name.
familiar.
The guy's last name was Noid.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, that's grounds.
On January 30th, 1989, a 22-year-old man named Kenneth Lamar Noid walked into a Domino's Pizza in Atlanta, Georgia, with a .357 Magnum revolver and took 2 employees hostage.
Oh shit.
Death in Pizza: How Domino's Lost Its Mascot.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
This was this was an article on Fast Company like several months ago, and I read the whole thing, and it was fascinating.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I think we might have talked about this previously as well. Potentially
I
in
think
HD
we
Cool
actually
Spot.
did on this very podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
Ken Noid, don't mess.
Kenneth Lamar Noid, because he took hostages, he gets the 3 names.
Oh, I guess that's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
All
Yes,
3
it is.
properly. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
You wanna plug your podcast before you take off, Jake?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I've started a new podcast. Oh, well, Chris and my podcast.
Not your
yeah.
secret RSS.
A couple weeks ago, Chris and I started a podcast called Twin Peaks Rewatch. The Twin Peaks just came out on Blu-ray recently, and also then it was announced that in 2016, David Lynch and Mark Frost are doing a new series. So this was collectively a kick in the pants for Chris and I to go and rewatch Twin Peaks. So once a week, every week we're watching a new episode of Twin Peaks in order, and we're discussing it on a weekly podcast episode. It's called Twin Peaks Rewatch. The second episode is out now, so it's still early enough that you can jump in if you are looking for an excuse to watch Twin Peaks. It's a great show.
How did you guys not call it a Peaks a Weeks?
We forgot to release an additional false name this week.
Yeah, our plan, as started in the first episode, is to release a false name every week. And we forgot in episode 2, so that trend has got to be picked up sooner. It'll be dropped immediately.
Well, it was dropped immediately.
It was. Well, if you pick it up, it's okay. But yeah, no, multiple. Yeah,
I haven't heard it, but I will subscribe to it on iTunes, and I might leave you guys a review because that'll help other people find the show.
it will.
The same way it would if you were to do that for Idle Thumbs on iTunes or
true.
SoundCloud
Those are all true facts.
at soundcloud.com/idlethumbspodcast.
Or soundcloud.com/Twin Peaks Rewatch.
Thanks, guys.
How about both? Yeah.
No,
If you write them
just
all in
the-
one line,
just
it will
the
just
better
404.
Only review the good podcast.
Yeah, do the best one.
Whoa.
Pick your favorite and then delete the RSS feed from the other one of the other ones.
Please
Kill
don't
your
actually do that.
darlings.
Yeah, you can Sophie's Choice, Idle Thumbs, and Twin Peaks Rewatch.
Do we do the thing where we wrap up all the games we talked about, or do we decide
think we
not to
should.
do that?
We can do it. We can do it really quick.
This week we
80
discussed
days.
Dota 2, 80 Days, Alien Isolation, The Evil Within, Chex Quest, and the novel Wolf and White Van.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
I like the
Thank
Fiverr.
y'all.
Fiverr's great.
Yeah.
I think the Fiverr feels good.
I'm a fan of the Fiverr. I'm
Oh,
a Fiverr
great.
fan.
Fiverr fan?
Yeah,
You're a Fiverr
Fiverr's-
fanatic.
I am.
Got to get your Fiverr.
Do you? You do. We're done. We stopped. We're done. Nick,
done.
say something.
Bye.
Thanks.
Next week, I'll talk about The Evil Within.
This week's episode was brought to you by Hover, an excellent domain name registrar. Visit hover.com and use the promotional code JAKE for 10% off your first purchase, including lowered prices on new TLDs and old favorites like .com.
Yeah, it's not worth talking about fucking Commander Toad on the podcast, but you remember the Commander Toad levels from Mario 3D or from Mario 3D World? There's just a whole game of those. That's it. Yeah, that's all that it is. But like,
It's a Wii game.
it's a Wii U.
I'm going to work out real hard for a month and I might go to your boxing gym.
Yeah? Anytime. I'm there.
Fucking video games.
You love them.
No, I don't. I don't even know. I don't even know
Incorrect.
if I ever have. Is the real problem. Does anybody really know what love is? Does anybody? We say we love things, but maybe we're just having chemicals
No.
in our brain release.
Well, no,
for no
it's-
reason.
I have this.
It's like when you watched The Matrix and you really liked it, and then The Matrix 2 came out, and then The Matrix 3 came out, and you didn't know if you ever liked The Matrix.
Love is like the Matrix.
It's basically bullshit.